Now Lean UX stops being just UX theory and starts talking about real teams and real company problems. And honestly, that's why I love this final chapter so much. But before we start, if you haven't watched part 1 and part 2, I highly recommend watching them first because they will help a lot with the understanding of this part 3. I will leave the links here in the description below, so go there and watch them. And for those who don't know me yet, my name is Nayama. I'm a UX and product designer, and this is the final video of our Lean UX series where we are breaking down chapters 7 and 8 of this amazing book, Lean UX, Applying Lean Principles to Improve User Experience by Jeff Gothelf and Josh Seiden. But I will break it down like in a practical and simple way, not super academic, and in a way that feels relatable to you. Because this chapters stop talking only about design methods and start more about something much bigger, how real teams work together inside companies. So questions like, how do UX teams, designers work with developers? How do teams avoid wasting weeks building something that suddenly is gonna change later? That's so common, that. How companies improve communication between design, development, marketers, business teams, sales teams, whoever. And honestly, these chapters felt very real to me because I've experienced these situations in my work environment. Especially like in fast-moving e-commerce teams where priorities change quickly and everybody's trying to move at the same time. So let's stop the blah 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 intro and let's move on to chapter 7. While you're reading these chapters, one word keeps appearing all the time. 2 words like together, which is Agile teams. You probably heard this word before somewhere in, an tech or product design, but if you're new to this world, don't worry, it's actually simpler than it sounds. So Agile is basically a way teams organize work little by little instead of trying to build everything perfectly out at once. So instead of you spending months planning, months designing, months developing, months waiting for feedback and testing, etc., and only launching things at the very end, Agile teams work in smaller cycles called sprints, usually every 1 or 2 weeks. So the teams go there, build something small, test it, learns from it, improves, and keeps going, which is like the MVP, okay? Like I talk a lot about this in the part 2, so go there and watch it. So this became very common in tech because digital products change fast. So new problems appear all the time. So priorities need to change as well. User behavior change. So companies needed a faster way to move this and be flexible in a way of working. So this chapter is about integrating UX into Agile process because historically UX and Agile had some of tension. And the reason is actually understandable because traditional UX wanted like research, planning, wireframes, documentation, polished deliverables before development started. So meanwhile, Agile says just build fast, ship fast, iterate later. So these 2 worlds kept like clashing, but one side wanted extra to, the other side wanted speed. And Lean UX tried to bridge, these 2 words together. Now, not by removing the traditional UX, okay, but changing how it works. Agile doesn't mean no UX. And this is something people misunderstand all the time. Agile does not mean no planning, no thinking, no research, no UX. It just means don't disappear for 3 months designing huge deliverables and interviewing 1,000 of users before learning the idea, if the idea even works. So that's the key difference. The idea is learn while the product evolves. All right, so now let's talk about some problems that are inside many teams and even companies that say that they work in Agile. sometimes still work very separately. So it's like this: UX designs first, then developers build it, then QA tasks happening later. By the way, QA, which stands for quality assurance, is basically a testing where people test the product to find bugs, broken things, or confusing experience, etc. Anyway, so big problem here is that everybody's working too separately, and everybody's stressed, trying to fix process late, and this is why LeanUX keeps pushing collaboration so much, the whole book, because good UX happens when designers, developers, product managers, marketing, they all communicate early instead of only talking after everything is ready and polished. UX is not about making pretty screens. It's about helping the whole team create a better experience together. And honestly, I've been seeing this happen so many times in my life. And you go there, you spend days or weeks designing beautiful UI, animations, polish flow, whatever detail stuff. Then suddenly your manager, boss, whoever says, the priorities change. We are not shipping this right now. Let's move on to another task. Forget that for now. And now you spend time on this beautiful bolt crafted with your sweat and blood, and you will never sell, not because the design was bad, but because the collaboration happened too late. You worked too isolated from the rest of the team, and honestly, now thinking about the whole book, everything that the book says is like how many times and in how many ways I need to repeat that UX designers do not work alone. Okay, sorry, getting a little bit emotional here, but this is exactly why LeanUX pushes so hard in cross-functional collaboration. And actually this connects to another thing that the chapter talks a lot about, is Scrum rhythms. Yeah, it's a very complicated term, and honestly, I don't love when books or tech people create super complicated names for simple ideas. But don't worry, I'm here to save you. Anyways, Scrum rhythms basically means routine, the routine that Agile teams follow to stay organized and aligned while working. Things like quick meetings, planning work, reviewing progress, talking about problems early. And yes, meetings can be very boring, but honestly, quick meetings save my sanity so many times because they avoid endless messages in emails like, why this, why that, why you put that, how, when, what changed? Sometimes a simple 15 minutes conversation solves a confusion that would take hours through emails or messages, because when teams communicate early, they avoid a lot of confusion later. That's it. It reminds me a lot of collaborative tools as well that I mentioned in our part 2, like tools like Miro, FigJam, Figma, Notion. Everything's for collaborating, has tons of there. There are so many ways to team to collaborate today, so find yours and present your team. Talking about communication and a way the UX design works, that is a really cool example in this chapter showing like walls full of notes, sketches, flows, prototypes. And honestly, I do love that because it felt really related to me, because my office table is like that. Notes everywhere, sketches, cross out ideas, observation, printed paper ideas, stuff, What I'm pointing here is the real UX is not just polished screens. Do you understand? Honestly, I think social media romanticized UX work a lot those days because what I see in social media sometimes is like, day in my life as a UX designer. And the video is like, the desk looks like an Apple store, one perfectly centered laptop, nothing else on the table, perfect lighting, one tiny little coffee here, what is the chaos? No sticky notes, no 37 tabs open, no 20 message notifications attacking you emotionally. you know, UX work sometimes looks like that. Mural boards everywhere, messy notes, people debating ideas, last minute changes, somebody asking, wait, which version are we using again? Your product work is collaborative chaos sometimes, and that's all right. That's it. We finally got the last chapter of the Lean UX, and I think this chapter is the one of the ones that hurts me the most, because now the book stops talking only about UX methods, testing, MVPs, the perfect world, and it starts talking about something much harder, like changing the companies and how they work. And this is where things get uncomfortable, because a lot of companies say they care about UX, they hire a person to do that. But their structure completely fights against UX, And honestly, I've been seeing this so many times in my life. Companies wanting innovation while approvals take forever, Managers wanting more creativity while you're pushing mistakes and disconnected ideas, once you get involved, in so many things. And this chapter basically says Lean UX is not just a design process, it's our organizational mindset shift. And if the company culture doesn't support that, the process becomes very difficult. All right, this final chapter felt extremely real to me, because it talks about the hiding problems behind the teams, which is not the screen, it's not the wireframes. It's about hierarchy, ego, communication, management, approvals, that fear to fail. And honestly, those things affect UX in a way more than the people realize. Sometimes the problem is not the designer itself, doesn't mean that you're a bad designer. Sometimes the system itself is broken. And I've been there, organizational culture usually does not change overnight. You don't walk into a company with a Harry Potter magic wand and suddenly, fix communication, collaboration, and workflows in a week. Let's be realistic here. And a lot of times you slowly build trust. You slowly prove value through results, communication, collaboration, consistency, okay? And honestly, this is why I think designers are not just the UI people. I mean, honestly, those days, your work is also helping your team communicate and collaborate better. And we talk about this in the 3 videos. Help your team present ideas in a ways people can visually understand. Use simple words, not giant confusing walls of data, okay? Show clear improvements, present new tools that will help your team collaborate and design better together. Because at the end of the day, we are UX designers. We're literally here to improve experiences and create better solutions for people. And why those people cannot be your team? And another thing here, you're not gonna win every time, every idea, every discussion. But if you help your team in this daily improvements, you are already creating a huge impact as a designer. And because traditional companies often put people into tiny boxes. You are the designer, you design. You are the developer, you code. And I know some people may hear this and think, oh, great, now I need to wear many hats and do everybody's job. But no, the point here is not replacing other people's roles, but the point is collaboration between disciplines. Did you get this? Go there and understand how each discipline affects the user experience together. All right, everybody, that was the final part of this amazing book. Honestly, this is one of the most insightful UX books that I've read, and because it talks about not the perfect design theories, it talks about real teams and real products and how they work. If you watch this whole series seriously, Thank you so much. And if you didn't watch it, those parts 1 and 2, go there. The links are here in the description. Stop scrolling through a bunch of nonsense daily for 10 minutes, you know, and come here and learn something useful with me. What do you think about that? Anyway, subscribe, like the video, drop a comment. Let's talk about design. Let's connect. Let's whatever. See you next time. Bye.